Have you ever felt like the world was just too much?
Oh, there are times where I'm like mental breakdown, full on crying. But at the end of the day, it's like we just move on and the world continues. And I mean, all you can do is just deal with it.
In the modern world, it's easy to get lost in the tide of social media posts, constant messages, and crowded spaces. With how much people are exposed to on a daily or even hourly basis, it's no surprise that we've become overstimulated as a society.
Would you say that technology makes it harder for people to find their silence in their life?
Silence, like as in
Silence is in
focus.
Yeah, focus.
I think so because I often get like texts from my friends like later and I'd be like, oh my gosh, I need to do all this work, and I'm like, why didn't you do it earlier? And they're like, oh, I was busy playing games, watching a movie and whatnot. So I definitely think it's like a distracting thing, but it's also very helpful in our lives, seeing that we are able to communicate with each other more. We're able to interact with our like society.
The effects of sensory overload on physical and mental health are simultaneously well documented and yet not acted upon. Sensory overload, particularly as a cause of information stress, can lead to long-lasting clinical conditions. Further, such overstimulation can have other, more psychological effects.
Would you say that silence is something that there could be consequences of you not having it for your mental development?
Yes, there's some mental development because of the fact that I said it. That's the hippocampus is where we create memories, and it's how we learn. It's where we're learning new concepts. And so, if there is constant stimulation, constant noise, constant input, you are interrupting a lot of those processes. So it could either stop or at least slow down certain developmental processes. Silence is actually a good practice for your mental and emotional health, but definitely a big part of your development.
If overstimulation, especially for modern technology, is such an issue, why do we still use it? For one, it's more convenient to use modern technology. With such ease of access to information, it's easy to see why it would be used. Another reason could be early and consistent exposure to technology, like with our next interviewee, Veda.
What has your experience with technology been?
My experience with technology, it's made my life a lot easier. I think I was kind of raised on technology, and like honestly, yeah, like from TV shows and movies, like I'd like look at my iPad or my phone or like on the TV, and like I think that's where I kind of developed my morals and stuff, like where like right and wrong. And like yeah, like I mean I've had a religious background too, but like technology definitely like inspired like most of my personality and being.
Being raised on technology can easily normalize the amount of stimulation the world outputs at a young age, making it a large part of the person's life. It can shape morals, wants, preferences, and so much more.
What was your first experience with it?
I'd say when I was 4 and I got an iPad because I was an iPad kid, and yeah, it was, yeah, I mean I would just like I purposely got it to play Minecraft because I see my sister playing it. I had to play on her iPad, but I wanted to get my own like I wanted my own like Minecraft world, and she'd always have some limitations. So yeah, so I finally got my own iPad at 4, and I got to play Minecraft. It was great, and I just play for hours and hours. So yeah.
These shifts in priorities can lead to all stimulation being based around technology, rather than having a variety of stimulation.
Do you remember much from your life before then?
Let me think. Actually, no. I think like the first moments, like I was, because I would usually just play on my iPad. Like I'd like record videos of myself, like singing or dancing or like talking. Like I think I just used my iPad as my main source of. Because again, I was like 4, so I don't really remember before then.
Early and consistent exposure to technology can have other issues that won't be discussed in this podcast, but the amount of information, particularly graphic information, that one can be exposed to by technology and social media can be a potent mixture of overloading and traumatizing.
Do you think like social media has desensitized you or people in other ways?
Oh, definitely. Like yeah. yeah, I've been like so bro. It's so bad. I'm so like my like I've seen so much stuff on social media or just like in general the internet, and it's just like, you know, you definitely get scarred. Like I'm not gonna go into detail because it's a school like report project, but like yeah, definitely.
On top of being potentially scarring, this overload of information can also be desensitizing, making it difficult to truly understand the magnitude of the information.
Not only are they desensitized to like, you know, good like issues like, you know, that we should be like facing, like climate change and like, you know, like clear reputation and stuff, it's just like it's also like some graphic stuff where it's just traumatizing. And I've had like multiple conversations with people about like, you know, yeah.
Sensory overload can occur through more than just information as well. Noise is prevalent, perhaps even valued in our current society. Louder sirens on first responder vehicles, the humming of airports, even in conversations and arguments. Brighter lights light up the world and grab your attention as well. The modern world is built on constant stimulation, and too much of that will hurt you.
Okay. So during this, take as much time as you want to think of answers for the question, and I won't reveal the topic yet, just to make sure your answers are unbiased.
Okay.
Are you ready to start?
Yes. Oh wait, what do I do? Do I just talk? Okay. So you're just not gonna be talking at all? That's so weird. Okay, this is an interesting project interview thing. Do I just talk or? Wow. This is it's so awkward.
However, just as being overloaded by information is harmful, being without simulation can be just as daunting. Here we had an interview with another student, Adriana, where the interviewer was silent for a few minutes to gauge the interviewee's reaction.
How did you feel during it?
One word, awkward. Because it felt very like, whoa, okay, so I'm the one leading this whole thing, okay, so I just, tried to explain what I could.
So did you say you felt awkward because you thought you had to lead it?
I felt awkward because you weren't saying anything, so that weirded me out at first.
Silence, like Adriana said, can be uncomfortable, especially when left alone with your own thoughts. It can create anxiety and fear to the point where, in a study conducted by researchers at the University of Virginia, 25% of women and 67% of men would rather shock themselves than entertain themselves with their thoughts.
Do you know why that why me not saying anything made you feel awkward?
It made me feel awkward because, before this whole interview thing, you literally gave me no instructions. So I was just left there to think for myself, and I was like, okay, where do I go with this? Is he gonna say something? And I was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to be the one to step it out. So yeah.
To fill this silence, people will do a variety of things, like talk to themselves, scroll on his or her phone, or otherwise just try to distract from the anxiety that comes with a lack of stimulation.
Honestly, sometimes it's either black or white. The first option is to either be like, okay, hello, what's wrong? Is everyone okay? Or two, it's just, I don't know, I just have this feeling of just hiding, and I'm like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore, so just really nothing. So yeah, it's either I do something or I don't.
Being stuck in silence with other people can compound that anxiety, pressuring someone to speak up and break the silence, lest both people suffocate in their discomfort.
Because I guess sometimes the quietness just, I don't know, it just messes with my head, and like I mentioned before, I just get really uncomfortable with it, and then so I feel like I have to do something because that's the only way that I would feel better about the situation.
Would you say you feel almost anxious when that happens?
Yes, for sure.
The discomfort of silence can be felt in more than just literal silence. It can be felt when there are voids in places there shouldn't be, like a normally busy hallway being completely empty. Still, people's experiences with silence can be more than just discomfort.
Have you ever had a positive experience with silence?
Yes, I have, because as much as I love being around people, like I still need the time to, bring myself together and just sit in silence and just, meditate or something. Just, be alone with my thoughts.
What would you do if you didn't have that?
If I didn't have that, honestly, I would go insane.
Just as too much silence can be anxiety-inducing, too little silence can, as Adriana answered, make someone go insane. Silence can give someone the double-edged sword of being alone with his or her thoughts, providing crucial self-reflection or creeping negative thoughts.
Did you ever feel a need to not do something and that be okay?
Yes. Only with like people I'm closer to, like my aunt or, like I guess my partner or something, just because, like we've already established a sense of like, oh, we don't have to say anything for it to be comfortable, because like, we understand each other more, so I feel more at ease with the whole situation.
So, would you say that silence is more of a vulnerable thing to do?
For sure, yeah, I would 100% agree.
Silence can be a reprieve from the business of day-to-day life or an expression of comfort with those close to someone. It, in essence, gives a moment of vulnerability and space to relax.
Silence is promoted. No matter what spirituality you talk about, you could get to all kinds of world religions, and all of them have some form of either prayer, meditation, silence. Even the Native Americans have like a wilderness retreat. All of it is to separate yourself from the constant stimulation and noise of society.
Why do so many belief systems have dedicated time to silence? Well, silence can have emotional, cognitive, and spiritual benefits with even just a few minutes dedicated to having silence.
Silence, yes, it could definitely, not having it could hurt you. It doesn't need to be constant, of course. Stimulation is also necessary, but I think we give too much credit to the stimulation and not enough credit to the need for silence.
Like Miss Cassidy, our psychology teacher said, silence is undervalued today. Those brief release from the everyday cacophony were proven to improve not just mental health, but physical health too. It can improve our capacity to learn, lessen our stress levels, and aid in concentration. To achieve this reprieve, some people dedicate even just half an hour every day to having silence.
Would you say that overstimulation impacts our mental well-being and our cognitive abilities?
It does both. Your inner well-being is going to be more easily established if you're able to separate from the noise for just a little while. And it doesn't have to be for extremely long periods of time. Studies show that just 30 minutes a day can bring back that sense of wellness and peace.
Being able to bring back that inner peace is important to not just your mental health, but physical health too. By bringing back that sense of calm, you reduce your stress levels, meaning your immune system is strengthened and you feel less fatigued.
But for the cognitive piece, you have to give your 100% focus to something for encoding to take place, and encoding is necessary for a memory to happen or for a learning process to complete. So even though we can multitask, it's with some losses in that it interrupts our cognitive processes from being as successful.
In addition to those emotional and cognitive benefits, silence also lets someone be more connected with his or her spirituality, like one of our school's math teachers, Mr. Nelson.
Well, that's part of silence. Maybe someone's doing something wrong, but at the same time, having a silence when you're by yourself, and that the Bible study time, the understanding to, I guess, how to get closer to God time, it might allow you to say the right thing, because some people put in places of authority, but sometimes they have to be told, okay, this is what's actually going on down here. So silence when you're by yourself sometimes helps to bring the right kind of communication at other times. And then also silence when you're with somebody is sometimes a good thing, because that way you're not saying the wrong thing at the wrong time.
However, silence and stimulation must be kept as a balance, neither being too overbearing in one's life. Too much silence and can be left to stew in your own thoughts. Too much stimulation and can become anxious or be less focused.
So it's on so many different levels. For the reproduction of cells in your brain, that's physical. For your overall sense of peace, emotional, and then, spiritually speaking, for a greater understanding of higher concepts and practices of faith. Silence contributes to all three of those. And so we can't underestimate the benefit of moments of silence. And it doesn't have to be, like I said, very extended periods of silence. The longer you could go, you could get up to 30 minutes, that would be awesome, but it's a busy world. So even if you just do 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes in the evening, you could benefit.
Just as someone who is fasting does eventually need to eat, someone who takes a moment of silence must also continue with his or her life. Regardless, the benefits of even just a little silence are clear. So after listening to this podcast, just take a moment and breathe.